Hello and welcome to the Nonprofit Pod. I'm Melissa, a university business professor who specializes in nonprofits. In this episode, we're going to explore the top trends shaping the nonprofit sector right now. From record-breaking fundraising events to tech innovations, these developments show just how important it is that you stay on top of things if you are a nonprofit leader. So let's jump right in. First is Giving Tuesday. How did you and your nonprofit fare? Did you go into it prepared? Did you do well? How was your fundraising? Hopefully it was fantastic because this year's Giving Tuesday effort resulted in record-breaking numbers. Giving Tuesday 2024 was an incredible success, with U.S. donors contributing an estimated $3.6 billion, which marks a whopping 16% increase from last year's total. And that's interesting to me because I think post-COVID, nonprofits have seen a lot of uncertainty and a lot of folks cutting back on philanthropy. But this was quite the giving total. This year's event also saw, in terms of raw numbers, 18.5 million donors and 9.2 million volunteers. Both of those reflecting a more moderate increase of 4% from 2023. Now, what's interesting here too is that, again, it's not just this huge increase in fundraising, but it's also a surge in non-monetary support. And this is something that a lot of nonprofits have been frustrated about post-COVID. It really seems that while giving has been kind of up and down, the personal non-monetary support has been definitely down. And I saw this in my own nonprofit experience. We had really dedicated volunteers that were always reliable, our ride or dies. And then post-COVID, it was a very sluggish effort getting them back into the fold. Now, when it comes to this surge of non-monetary support, this includes donated goods and advocacy on social media. And it's promising because this highlights a growing trend of civic engagement where people are trying to find creative ways to give back amid economic challenges. But even with economic challenges, clearly it's not impacting philanthropy, at least when it comes to Giving Tuesday. But that's a good thing. Now, here's why it matters. Giving Tuesday showcases the power of community-driven fundraising and the power of social media to drive a lot of this fundraising. Nonprofits can use this momentum and this evidence of success to realize that, hey, this is a great growth opportunity. There's a lot of potential here. So if you had a lackluster Giving Tuesday effort this year, this hopefully is your wake-up call to plan ahead for 2025. And that's important to build long-term relationships with your supporters and to not miss the boat when everyone else is out there just making it rain with donations on Giving Tuesday. Now, related to that is that rebound in volunteer participation post-pandemic. As I noted, and I saw myself personally in the sector, there was a steep decline during the pandemic, obviously, of volunteerism, and even post-pandemic was very slow to rebound. However, here's some promising news. Between September 2022 and September 2023, the national volunteer rate rose to 28.3%, and this was a welcome recovery for many nonprofits. Because what also happened in the sector, and I also personally, sadly and painfully experienced, a lot of nonprofits, especially those that are heavily event fundraising based, had to make significant staff cutbacks during the COVID era. And as a result of that, relied more heavily than ever on volunteers who just weren't there to provide that labor and that support. So this is really great news. And this growth is particularly notable among young adults. And we're finding that young adults tend to be more drawn to hybrid volunteer models. So they're not opposed to doing things in person. Not everyone wants 100% remote. Some people really relish in that social connectivity, and that includes young adults, but they tend to prefer the flexibility of a hybrid role. And that is making it easier for people to re-engage with causes that they care about. So here's why this matters to you. If you're not already offering accessible and diverse volunteer opportunities, namely hybrid formats, it's really important for you to do that if you want to attract and retain this renewed interest, especially among young adult volunteers. Next, I want to touch upon the integration of artificial intelligence in nonprofits. If you're not leveraging the power of AI, you're definitely missing the boat. And I hate to say it, but the nonprofit sector tends to be a few years behind the for-profit sector. And I say this with love. But AI is revolutionizing nonprofit operations from those agencies that are earlier adopters and are embracing this technology. From predictive analytics that anticipate donor behavior to automations of administrative tasks. And by the way, I plan to make a series of content about how nonprofits can use automations to save time and free up staff labor. But AI tools are helping nonprofits become more efficient and in turn more effective at raising money because you can focus on what you do best, which is to change the world. Some organizations are using AI chatbots for donor communication. Others are using it for social media interactions. I have a video coming soon about how you can use a tool called MiniChat to automate your online social media engagement, while others are leveraging machine learning to identify high potential fundraising opportunities. Now, AI is not going to replace human workers anytime soon in the for-profit and certainly not in the nonprofit sector. But if you use it and you're not scared of it and you're willing to take a risk on trying it out and sometimes making a nominal, even financial investment in it, it can enable your nonprofit to focus on strategic, high-impact tasks. So here's why and how it matters for you. Embracing AI can help you save time, reduce costs, and maximize your impact. It doesn't mean that nonprofits can go out and replace all the volunteers because, hey, now we have AI, or cut back on labor costs and reduce staff. But it can allow you to do your job more efficiently and more effectively than ever, being more responsive to your donors, your volunteers, and your stakeholders, which helps strengthen those relationships. Now, related to that is a growing emphasis on digital fundraising and virtual engagement. Digital fundraising continues to reshape the nonprofit sector. This year, organizations have embraced tools like live streaming their events, launching social media campaigns, and holding virtual donor appreciation events. And they do all these things to connect with audiences online. Peer-to-peer fundraising took a pretty big hit during COVID, but it's starting to also regain popularity as supporters embrace the community of social media and they start launching their own campaigns through these platforms like GoFundMe or Facebook. And that just helps you amplify nonprofit reach. So here's why it matters for you. Nonprofits have to diversify their digital strategies. If you're not taking advantage of these digital platforms and these tools, you're not going to attract those younger tech-savvy donors. There's a ton of huge potential in peer-to-peer fundraising. It's not just major gifts. Yes, major gifts, the critical cornerstone of every nonprofit fundraising program, but you also have to focus on those mid-level and smaller level donors as well. And yeah, you can't dedicate a lot of staff or volunteer time out chasing small donations, but if you're able to leverage digital strategies and tools, you can do that in mass very efficiently using minimal time of your staff and your volunteers. So experimenting with these new platforms and tools can help broaden your audience base and amplify your mission and your fundraising. And finally, I love to see it. There is an enhanced trend toward strategic collaborations. I hate it when nonprofits compete. We're all here ultimately for the same reason, which is to change the world. Let's work together, not against each other. So collaboration is thankfully becoming a cornerstone for nonprofit success. By partnering with other organizations, nonprofits can pool their resources and pool their expertise to address complex societal issues like homelessness, climate change, or whatever that your mission addresses. Recent initiatives include regional coalitions and cross-sector collaborations that involve government agencies and private companies. So here's why it matters. We have a busy and difficult job as it is working in nonprofits. And if you're spending your time trying to compete with what you deem to be the competition, that's distracting you away from your mission-focused work. Instead, you should be looking at strategic partnerships to amplify your impact. Now, this does require alignment in mission, strong communication, making sure that you're not at odds with each other about what you're working toward as a common goal. But if you can align on these things, these can be absolutely magically powerful. So in case you missed any of these trends demonstrate how nonprofits are evolving. It's not just that old stereotype that nonprofits are just stuck in the mud, but the most successful nonprofits do evolve, they do adapt, and they do innovate to meet new challenges and opportunities. And in this case, with these trends, it can be leveraging AI, engaging volunteers in different ways, forming strategic partnerships. But whatever you do, it's important that you find innovative ways to make an impact and don't just do it the way it's always been done. That is a recipe for failure. If you found this information helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I want to know, what's your nonprofit doing to innovate and to look at things differently? And be sure to visit my website at thenonprofitprof.com for free online resources, including online courses for nonprofit leaders, tips, articles, and advice, and more. See you next time.